I want to talk to you about something today that has been a point of contention for some time between those who are conservative and those that are more liberal. This is also a subject that many avoid because, just like denying the dire situation we find ourselves in South Africa, because admitting to it would change the way you would have to live your life and would probably force you to make some very serious decisions, which invariably would mean making some sacrifices that many of us are not prepared to make right now, if ever. Any guesses as to what the subject is? I bet not. To put you out of your misery, the subject I would like to discuss in this recording is baking. Yes, you heard that right, baking. Let's say we would like to bake a chocolate cake. To make a chocolate cake, we have the following few steps. Firstly, unless you have the recipe in your head, you have to get the recipe book out of the drawer. Then you have to find the recipe for the chocolate cake in the recipe book, and then you have to look up what ingredients you are going to need. Then you have to get the bowls out and start mixing the ingredients according to the instructions in the recipe book. And once you have finished all that, you put it into a baking pan and put it into the oven which has been preheated, and wait the prescribed amount of time before we remove the cake from the oven, and voila, we have a chocolate cake. My question is this. If you were making the chocolate cake and I asked you at any stage of the process what you were doing, what would your answer be? I am willing to bet that your answer would have been the same no matter at what stage you were. Your answer would simply have been, I am baking a chocolate cake. Am I right? Note, I use the word bake or baking for the first time now. My point is that baking a cake entails many steps, and at any stage of the baking process, you are still baking a cake. Okay, by now you might be scratching your head and asking, what the hell has baking a cake to do with anything, right? Well, the real topic of this recording today is genocide. I am willing to bet that as soon as I mentioned the word genocide, you pictured mobs running through the streets, either hacking people to pieces at random or lining them up in rows and shooting them, firing squad style. There are a number of prominent individuals, some of them popular YouTubers, that if asked whether they believe that there was a genocide taking place in South Africa right now, would answer, no, definitely not. To me, this answer is more out of convenience than anything else. Admitting or stating that there is a genocide taking place has certain consequences, some of which could be counterproductive for these individuals or institutions. Today I would like to take a closer look at the subject of genocide, examine what a genocide is, and then I will leave it to you to make up your own mind as to whether you think there is a genocide taking place right here in South Africa right now. When we discuss the subject of genocide, I think the starting point for any discussion is to define what genocide really is. Contrary to popular belief, the process or recipe for genocide is not as simple as one group deciding one day to walk out and kill everybody else that is not in that group. In fact, it is much more complicated than that. Now, to get a consensus on what genocide is, or more correctly, what the process of genocide is, it actually gets very simple. It gets simple because there is only one real expert on the subject in the world. This expert has done extensive studies of all the genocides that has taken place in history and come up with a recipe for genocide. There you see, a recipe for genocide. Some of you would be surprised to hear that genocide is not a deliberate and spontaneous killing of a certain group of people by another group of people. No, it is a whole process that follows a recipe. Now you see where baking a cake fits in, don't you? So let's turn to the work of Dr. Gregory Stanton, the world's foremost expert on the subject of genocide, and find out from him what the recipe for baking a genocide cake is. In front of you now, you see what is today accepted as the official definition of genocide, as described by Dr. Gregory Stanton. As you can see, the definition of genocide is not as many people believe, only the simple act of murdering a group of people, but a slow and drawn-out process that can last for years and goes through a number of stages. In other words, it follows a defined recipe that is recognizable more and more the further along in the process we go. So let us take a closer look at what Dr. Gregory Stanton has to say about the process of genocide. According to Dr. Gregory Stanton, the world's foremost expert on the subject of genocide, the first sign of a genocide is when a group of people are classified and a situation of us and them is reached. I think we can tick that box already, don't you? I mean, even Ramaphosa, the president of the country, talks about our people when talking to the whole nation, but referring to the black population. The second stage is called symbolization, where the targeted group are given names and or classified by a certain character trait or race. This is a simple one. We have a very pale skin as compared to the rest, don't we? I think we can tick that box too, don't you? The third stage is where the recipe being followed starts to become pretty much evident. Once we reach this stage, the end product is starting to become very clear. The third stage is dehumanization, where the targeted group is compared to subhuman life forms, vermin or diseases. How many times have you heard the whites being referred to as cockroaches? I think we can definitely tick this box, number 3 too. The fourth stage of a genocide is organization. I will leave it to you to read the full description of stage 4, but in a nutshell, the organization is often at government level. What has happened to the farmers since the disbanding of the commandos by the government? They have systematically been targeted and eliminated. What has the government, and specifically the police, done about it? Basically, nothing. In fact, Becky Cele, just days ago, told farmers that they should not complain if they get hurt. Box number 4 ticked, no question. So we are halfway through the recipe book. If I asked the chef what they were doing right now, what do you think they would reply? Could the answer possibly be that they were baking a genocide cake? Let us carry on. Stage 5 is polarization. The groups are driven apart by extremist groups, hate groups broadcasting propaganda. What do you think people like Julius Malema and Andile Ngitama have been spewing on every media platform they can find for years? Box number 5 ticked with a big fat permanent marker, I think. It's becoming pretty clear now what cake is being baked, isn't it? The stage is being set, so to speak. Still not convinced yet? Let us look at stage 6. Stage 6 is called preparation. In this stage, victims are separated out and identified because of ethnic or religious identity. Well, there is nothing more identifying than our white skins, is there? And there is enough evidence of this coming from as high as the president down to the trash at the bottom, like Julius Malema. Their land is also expropriated. They are segregated into ghettos. At this stage, about a third of the white population have been forced into squatter camps. I will let you read the rest for yourself. Box number 6 ticked, I would say. At this stage, I am sure that you would agree with me that there is now no doubt as to what cake is being baked here. If you can't feel the heat of the preheated oven yet, you had better get your head out of your rear end. Take note that there are, according to Dr. Gregory Stanton, only 8 stages of any genocide. We have already identified with 6 of them, and none of them have dealt with the wholesale killing of the target group yet. Guess what stage comes next? If you guessed extermination of the target group, you'd be 100% correct. Stage 7 is in fact the extermination of the target group. With the rate at which farmers are being murdered these days, combined with people in the suburbs being murdered in home invasions, hijackings, etc., don't you think that the 7th stage has started already? As I have said before, I stand corrected, but the number of whites murdered by blacks since 1994 runs in the tens of thousands. I'm inclined to say that we can tick the 7th box with a very fine pencil, because in my opinion the extermination phase has started and is progressing on a slow path so as not to cause a sudden and big reaction from us. You know, the boiling frog thing, as clearly stated by Ramaphosa himself. The 8th and very last stage, not that it will make any difference to you and me, because we will probably be lying in a shallow grave somewhere, chopped and hacked to pieces, is denial. This is where the perpetrators try to get rid of the evidence at any cost. As I said, this stage will not make any difference to you or I. As you can see for yourself, we have ticked 6 of the 7 phases with a thick permanent marker, and the 7th we have started to draw the cross in the box. Is there still any doubt in your mind as to what cake is being baked here? You and I are most definitely the target group here, and in my opinion will end up dead if nothing is done soon, very soon to put a stop to what is happening right now. I'm going to leave the link to the official document where Dr. Gregory Stanton's definition of genocide is explained in fine detail. If after reading that you are still of the opinion that I am talking rubbish and that everything is going to come right and that the Rainbow Nation will become a reality, I give up. I can't help you. My only advice, or rather request, is that when the crap hits the fan properly, you stand aside and don't get in the way while the rest of us try to save your sorry, undeserving ass. The link to Dr. Gregory Stanton's detailed definition of genocide document will be in the description field. Please like and share this video on as many other social media platforms as possible. It's the only way that my message gets out there. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, why not? Click on the big red subscribe button below and to the right of this video. While you are there, click on the bell icon to receive notifications every time I upload new content. If you would like to make a contribution to my channel and my work, in the description field I have supplied ways for both locals as well as international viewers to make a contribution. If you'd like to make a crypto contribution, I have also in the description field supplied a Bitcoin as well as a Litecoin wallet address. If you'd like to contribute any other crypto, simply shoot me an email to the address also provided in the description field and I will supply you with a relevant wallet address. For those who would like to use Zapper, simply pause the video whenever you see the Zapper QR code and scan it. Any and all contributions are welcomed and very much appreciated. To all the amazing people who contribute to my channel and my work, I would like to say a huge thank you. You have no idea what those contributions mean to me. Be careful out there. Until next time.